In Robotics Club the other day, we had the question of how do we create a simple 2D map. Right? We want our robot to eventually be able to map its world and find its way around. So we decided to start working with processing and create then a 2D representation of our world. Right? So what we came up with is this, to start with this 7x7 map. We happen to be working on an application that will eventually be a 7x7 grid in our tunnel finding robot. Right. So with processing then, we've decided that one of our first steps is we're going to want to just visualize this map. Right. This map has 7 columns and 7 rows. Let's take a look at how we'll get that started in processing. Right. So let's pop open a blank sketch here. And we will start with the assumption we have beginning programmers, right, who have just basically started to learn processing, right, don't have experience with data structures and all. So we said, we always start by creating a window, right? And let's just put a little note here that the description is we want to create a 7x7 2D map. We'll add to that as we go along. All right, so right in setup is where we create then the size of our output window. And we started off by just naively creating a square window. Right. Draw. And redrawing the background, and we wanted a white background. Right. And we know if we pop this up, we're just going to get a 500 by 500 window, right, that has a white background. Right. And our first step was to go ahead and try to draw the vertical lines similar to what we see here. So we have vertical lines coming all the way through here. We have our horizontal lines. So we could either start with the horizontal or the vertical lines. Right. So we're going to draw 7 horizontal lines. Well, if we pop up this display, we know that in processing this upper left-hand corner is x equals 0, y equals 0. And so if our first horizontal line will go across here, right, that means our x-coordinate will be the same on a horizontal line. So x-coordinate will be, the y-coordinate will be the same. X will change. And so x is going to be 0 here. X will be width all the way over here. Right, so if we just try to draw our first line, right, in this case, x needs to be 0. Now, at one end, width, or we could have width minus 1 at the other end. Width is 1 pixel beyond, but it will draw it. And then we said, what should our y-coordinate be? Well, if we wanted to break this up into 7 equal grid spaces, we know that the height of our window represents y. We could say height divided by 7. Right. And same way here, height divided by 7. Right. And before we draw other lines, let's see if this is doing what we want it to do. Right. So there's our first line. That looks about right. Right. So our second line then needs to go here. It will be at the same x locations, but the y then should be at 2 times height divided by 7. Right? X will be width, and this will be 2 times height divided by 7 for our next horizontal line. Take a look at that. That looks about right. So we could continue on in this fashion then. Right. We can change this to 3, and we're doing this naively. We're going to see that there's a better way in which we can do this. But as a beginning programmer, you often will just draw this sort of structure because you've never drawn it. You're not an expert with loops or other structures, so you just want to take a look. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. We need a 6th line then. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we've divided this up horizontally. So what I'd like to do now is I'm just going to comment this out. Right. And let's see how we can draw, 7 vertical lines. So vertical line, if we pop this back up, the vertical line will go from top to bottom, meaning our x-coordinate will be the same on this line, the y-coordinate will change. And the first y-coordinate we want for the top, is 0, the bottom, height. All right, so if we make our first x will be width divided by 7, and then 0 for y. And then, as we said, x stays the same, width divided by 7, and then height. So there's one vertical line. And now we can see we're simply going to change the next x-coordinate, to move to the right. This should be 2 times width divided by 7 and 2 times width divided by 7. Let's just run that, see if that looks about right. Okay, that looks about right. So in the similar fashion with copy paste that we did above, we can naively finish this. I say naively because we're going to see a faster way to draw this. But it's really necessary. I changed the wrong. It's really necessary for us as beginning programmers to start to see some of these patterns, to be able to use programming techniques such as loops to more easily draw these without hard coding in all these individual actions. So if we run this now, all right, so it looks like we have the pattern we want there. So if we were to uncomment this, to draw both our horizontal and vertical lines, we get a grid pattern like this. And that's what we were going for. Now, when we first set up the window, we said we wanted it to be a square window, which is what we did. Notice we're dividing this up into sevenths. 500 is not evenly divided by 7. We may have to make some adjustments there later to make sure that these grid spaces are equal. All right. Now let's take a look at the pattern in drawing these horizontal lines. We can see that the first time this was height divided by 7, which is a lot like, which is the same as if I were to multiply that is 1 times height divided by 7. And we can see that our multiplier incremented by 1 each time through here. Well, anytime we do something and we increment this by 1, it should start triggering the fact that we want to use a loop. But what if we were to then make a variable, a counter variable, and let's make let's set I equal to 1, and while I is less than or equal to 6, 6 was our stopping point here. Can't seem to type today. All right. I plus equal 1, so I equals I plus 1. And now I just adjust this line of code to I times height, I times height. I should be able to get rid of all of this. Right. And if we run this, let's see if we still get the same picture. Good, we did. So we made one change, right? One sort of major change there. Stop, tested it. So we can use the same sort of pattern with vertical lines. Notice here, we're just changing the x coordinate, right? Each time through, we had a multiplier that was increasing by 1. So see how this was consistent, this was consistent, this was consistent. So the only thing that varied was this multiplier. So we should be able to then pull this into our loop here. All right. And now if I make this I times width divided by height, and I times width divided by height, and we run this, right, we get the pattern we're looking for. Excellent. Let's put in a comment that this one draws horizontal line. Right. Follow our style convention, move that over. This next one draws vertical line. And I'm just going to say that this will draw our map grid. Still works. I didn't have any syntax errors after inserting my comments. So now we have this basic grid pattern on here. That was our first goal. Let's take a look at how we can use some variables, though, instead of maybe hard coding this in here. If we were to create some variables that related to our grid height and our grid width, and maybe instead of grid, let's call these individual cells in here. I'm going to have a cell height, and for sake of spacing on the screen, and a cell width. And so now in setup, I'm going to say that my cell height is equal to, well, that's the height of the window, which is provided by the system variable that will be filled in. So here's our height of the window. This will be filled in after we call the size, height divided by 7. Right? And cell width will be width divided by 7. Now, since this is a square, we could use one variable for just cell size, but it might be better to do this in case we ever want a non-square map. So now everywhere we've got height divided by 7, let's just replace that with cell height. And everywhere we have width divided by 7, we'll replace that with cell width. All right. And that gives us the same look we were going for. And then the other thing we have hard-coded is the number of rows and columns, 7. Right? If we always want to work with a 7 by 7 map, that's fine. But what if we were to create variables for that as well? So maybe I'll make a, Java So if I want to make a constant value, keyword final, final int, I'm going to say map rows equals 7, final int map columns equals 7. And so now I'll divide by height will be divided by the number of rows. Map rows, the width will be divided by number of columns. All right, we're sticking with integers. We'll truncate. We might not have exactly even spacing in there due to the size of our window. All right, but we could take care of that later. All right, so we still get the same effect. We've just replaced everything with variables, which looks like a lot more work, right? But now if I want this to be a 5x7 map, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. All I needed to do was change this number here. We still got the same information. Similarly, right, if I wanted maybe 10 columns, right, I just make that one change. Right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh-oh, I've done something wrong, haven't I? In our drawing, right, now we have to think about the way we want to redraw. Well, this is not being square. Notice the stopping condition in my loop caused a problem. And so we have to make a change there for that. Now, when we draw, let's pop this up again. When we draw the vertical line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across here, the vertical lines set up our number of columns. So in order to draw vertical lines, what we should do is we should use a stopping condition that says less than or equal to, right? And then map columns, I'm going to make this less than map columns, right? Because I always have one line less. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. You notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertical lines. So one vertical line less. So if I go back and say, draw vertical lines here, right? I'm going to pull this out here, the horizontal. Let's comment that out. All right, let's just run. And so now we get our 10 columns that we want. All right. So for a different size map, we need to have 2 different loops to actually draw these. So here, right, for int I equals 1, I less than map rows. So I can say I equals I plus 1. It's the same as I plus equal 1. All right, so now we've got a decent structure for creating a map, right, controlling its size, and displaying our grid lines. In our next tutorial, we'll take a look at developing a class to control this, as well as learning to place obstacles on our map.